And a good spiritual morning to you. Once again, I'm Father Cosmas coming to you from my prayer corner at home where we're sharing a cup of coffee and talking during Bright Week. Christ is risen once again, Christos Anesti. And so this week we're talking about ways of celebrating and enjoying some time together as family. Again, last week was Holy Week and was very serious, and this week it's Bright Week, so we're celebrating and talking about some different ways that we can enjoy our time together, this week. And so we talked a little bit about listening to music again, and I know that we're, of course, streaming and watching tons of movies and TV shows and binge watching all sorts of things. But maybe, again, to take a break from that, I'll talk about some movies a little bit later in the week, but to take a break from that, to do something that maybe we don't do much anymore, unless maybe we have to do it, as my kids would say, which is just pick up a book and read a book. You know, when you have your chance to maybe pick up a little book that you can get through in a day. There's some different examples of quick books that you can read and really enjoy. Work your way through, War and Peace. It won't take you too long to read a little Tolstoy. And to be able to, I'm sure you can read that tonight if you want to. But pick up a book and read something as a means of enjoyment, because it can be very enjoyable. And we don't think about reading as entertaining, but it really is entertaining. We think about just sort of watching our movies and our TV shows as our means of home entertainment. But remember, before there were televisions or even radios, what did people do? They read books, and they read them to each other, read them as families, read them out loud. That's how people entertained themselves for centuries, before, let's say, the last 100 years or so. So really, reading a good book is a way of enjoying time and being entertained. Now again, I say good book, so there is some clarification there that's necessary. There are people that read and are avid readers, and they'll say to me, Father, I've just read this. Did you read this? Did you see this? They've got their e-readers or their Kindles, and they're always looking at the New York Times bestsellers, and they're reading all the stuff that comes out now, and they have their favorite authors that they read regularly. And so that's great if you enjoy reading that way. When I'm talking about reading, I'm talking about a little bit more, let's say, classic works of literature, because just because you enjoy reading it doesn't mean that it's going to be of benefit to you. Of course, reading generally is beneficial, but again, speaking from the point of view of an Orthodox priest, we do have to be careful about some of the things that we're reading, the same way that we have to watch out for some of the TV shows or the movies that we're watching. Not everything is great for us to be consuming, whether it's visually or otherwise. We talked about music. It's the same thing. When I said expand your background in music, I didn't mean that you had to listen to rap, or that you had to listen to something that's going to be offensive. Not that rap is, but it can be. But that you're expanding in a positive way. It's the same thing with books. When I'm saying go out and find a book and read a book, I'm not telling you to go through your bookshelves and find an old, Danielle Steele novel or a Harlequin romance, or pick up 50 Shades of Grey and read that in Bright Week. That's never appropriate to do. And not that you have to pick up Tolstoy and read that, but certainly there's some middle ground there. Pick up a classic work of literature. And of course, no one's going to bookstores anymore and buying, and you can buy online if you want to. I personally am a book person. I enjoy actual books and reading books, but you can get them on Kindle. You can get the Kindle app for free on your tablet or your laptop. You can order pretty much anything that you want for fairly reasonable price, and then you've got it immediately and you can read it. And again, a classic work of literature, which is done very well, that's worth reading. It's entertaining, it's enjoyable, and it's worth doing. And I know far too often, because we have the other mediums, we sort of say, well, I saw the movie, so I don't have to read the book. Well, a lot of times people are taking liberties with movies. And remember that when you're seeing the movie, you're seeing it through sort of the filter of the producer and the director and the movie studio and everything else. If you really want to get, the pure experience of that story, you need to pick up that book and read that book. And there's also a benefit into reading the actual language, because it's a great way of getting lost in language and using words and expressions that we might not be using too often, these days, because our communication has changed. Most people text nowadays. So when we're texting, it's like a whole other language that we've created. We're not even using complete simple words, let alone the words that people used to use in common speech when they were writing, these great works of literature. So it's wonderful to, to start hearing these words again and using them and sort of rediscovering the English language, which we're sort of losing through generations of people just communicating, like that, just by texting. So it's wonderful. And the funnest thing is that then you read a classic work of literature and then you start finding yourselves using the words in your everyday speech. And so in your vernacular, right, you'll start using whatever these words are, and you'll see people's reactions to that. And it's great for kids to learn to start using real words again, and to be able to see what people's reaction is when you throw in, punctilious or vicissitudes or prevaricate or alacrity. Throw out some words because you've read and you're an educated and an intelligent person. And that's a great way, too, of getting lost in storytelling and being entertained. It's another way that we can celebrate this week and entertain ourselves and spend time together with our kids and as a family. So once again, may our risen Lord bless us and keep us this day and every day. Christ is risen.